The bottom line is that the only reason the killer was in America in the first place was because we allowed his family to come here. That is a fact, and it's a fact we need to talk about. We have a dysfunctional immigration system, but if I get in there, it's going to change, and it's going to change quickly.
Donald Trump doubling down on his proposed temporary Muslim ban in the last 2 days, while President Barack Obama still refuses to call the situation what it is.
This is being treated as a terrorist investigation. It appears that the shooter was inspired by various extremist information that was disseminated over the internet.
President Obama saying the killer was influenced by extremist information, but carefully choosing not to use the word Islamic.
Well, joining us now, former Florida Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. He also is a Fox News contributor. So thank you, first of all, for joining us once again this morning. What would Donald Trump do differently than President Obama, listening to him speak yesterday?
Well, I would hope that one of the first things that Donald Trump would do differently is not allow the Council for American Islamic Relations to have such influence as it has on the training materials of the FBI and also the Department of Defense. That he would not be looking at restraining and restricting the ability of our law enforcement agencies to really go and understand and really look at the trend analysis of a lot of these Islamic jihadist groups that are operating within our country. I think that when you look at his immigration policies, first and foremost, we need to look at our visa programs, especially visa programs for young, single, military-age Muslim males coming from countries that have known terrorist activities. I think that's a great start. We don't want to see a repeat of what has happened in Europe with the infiltration of Islamic jihadist elements within the refugees that you have there. So I think you need to be very targeted, very specific in what you're looking at as far as our immigration process. Just the same as Tashfeen Malik was able to get here with that fiance visa.
As I've gone to some of these Trump rallies and asked the people that are supporting him, the number one thing they say that they like about Donald Trump is that he says what he thinks, that he says it like it is, that he's not so PC, and that he's talking about that is one of the biggest challenges that we face today. And you compare that to listening to President Obama after, the attack we saw yesterday and being so hesitant to call it for what it is. We now know what happened. Why do you think President Obama continues to be so hesitant to call it Islamic extremism, for example?
Well, I tell you, the only person that can answer that is President Obama himself. But when you look at his speech that he gave in the Cairo University in Egypt in 2009, his lack of action against ISIS, the destabilizing of Libya, and now that's a sanctuary for ISIS as well, and the fact that he just cannot seem to identify this enemy for who it is, and they profess who they are, and they take claim for all of these incidents, it just leaves you with the question in your mind, why? And I think that the president has to answer that question first and foremost. This is Islamic jihadism, and as we saw with San Bernardino, the president continues to say that it's a matter of gun control. So I believe he uses Rahm Emanuel's "never let a good crisis go to waste" mantra.
And how do you feel about that in terms of gun control? Would that have helped avoid this situation?
No, it would not have. I think that what would have helped avoid this situation was you had a young man that had been investigated by the FBI 3 times. He also was meeting with a cleric that had ties back to the first Syrian, not the first Syrian, but the American suicide bomber. We should have been looking into that Islamic Center and that mosque. So I think that that's what we need to be doing instead of disarming the American people.
Yeah, the suicide bomber and Mateen both attending that same mosque there in Orlando.
Yeah, if these guys are wanting to kill, they're going to find a way to do it. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Happy Army birthday.
And Flag Day, I think you said.
You as well.
Thank you.